everyone, it's Kales, and I just recently finished Ali Carter's new novel, All Fall Down. The novel is the first in her new Embassy Row series, and as a huge Ali Carter fan, I couldn't wait to pre-order this baby, and then I read it in about 3 days. Here's the synopsis. The book centers around Grace Blakely, who is sent to live in the European country Adria with her grandfather, who is the American ambassador. Grace is certain of only 3 things. 1. She is not crazy. 2. Her mother was murdered. And 3. Someday, she is going to find the killer and make him pay. But no one believes Grace about any of these, so she puts on a smile and a dress and is expected to move on for the sake of herself and her country. On Embassy Row, she reunites with her childhood friend Megan and her brother's cute Russian friend Alexei, while meeting newcomers such as Israeli and Brazilian Noah and Rosie, the German shadow. Grace must learn how to adjust to her new life while trying to learn how to let go of her old one, all while trying not to start an international incident. Overall, I enjoyed this book. After having reread the Gallagher Girls series and the High Society series, I was missing Ali Carter's writing, with her witty characters and light humor. That said, I was surprised at how dark this novel was. I should have known, considering Grace was getting over the death of her mother and everything, but I didn't realize how in-depth it was going to go into Grace's grief, which, while it was written and well justified, it was different than Ali Carter's normal style, and I applaud her, truly, for taking this deep, dark turn for it and doing it really well. It just wasn't what I was expecting, and so I was slightly put out by the fact that it wasn't more of a lighthearted, fun spy or thief novel that I was expecting. In a way, it gives me sort of mixed emotions because I'm really glad she stepped out of her box, and then yet at the same time I was like, I just wanted something different. And it's weird because like some of the Gallagher stuff isn't that light, but like this was darker somehow. I don't really know. I'm just saying it was unexpected. Take that as you will. I also really liked the setting of this book. Adria was like the stereotypical European country with all of its magic and glamour of cobblestone streets and royalty, and I was totally okay with that. I was swept up in it and very excited to learn more about it, and I really wanted to go visit this country that she had invented for the sake of this book. I also really liked the high-stakes nature of Embassy Row in of itself, and the politics within the politics of it, within each house, and how they were all kind of stacked up like dominoes, and it was really fascinating. It was a world that I hadn't really explored before, and she did it in such a creative, intriguing way that it just made me want to keep exploring. All of that said, I struggled with Grace as a narrator. Yeah. I liked that she was an army brat and that she was a strong, empowered woman, and I understand that she was dealing with, you know, people thinking she was crazy and, you know, the death of her mother, but something just felt, there was a disconnect. But this is also very common with me in Ali Carter novels. I am so much more in love with her secondary characters than I am her leads. It's been that way since book 1 of Gallagher Girls. I fell in love with Cammie's friends rather than Cammie herself. Same thing with Kat in High Society, and I think the same thing was in this book. I could have kept reading about Alexei and Megan and Rosie and Noah, and I loved them. Still enjoyed the book despite the fact that I wasn't as into Grace's telling of this story. I'm very curious to see what comes next from this Embassy Row series, because in my ideal world, I would love it if Ali Carter took it from like a different perspective of each kid on Embassy Row, whether that be kids we've met before or kids in the past or something, and just talk about Embassy Row as a whole. But I get the impression from the ending of this book, no spoilers, that that's not going to be the case, that we're really going to be following Grace's journey. And that's okay, because it's a ride I'm totally going to go on. Like I said, still going to read it. Do I wish it was about one of the other kids? Certainly, yes. However, I'm a big enough fan of Ali Carter and a big enough fan of her writing in this style, and even really this world that she's created here, to get me intrigued enough to read the next book. If it helps you to judge whether or not you're going to read a book by having it on a scale, I guess I would give this book like a 3.5 out of 5, because it wasn't my favorite Ali Carter book. I would still rank reading High Society, then Gallagher Girls, and then Embassy Row. So overall, I did really like the book. It just is not in my top ranking of if you want to read an Ally Carter book, start with High Society. You can read this one later. I'm still looking forward to the next one in the Embassy Row series, which is probably not going to come out until next year. So check out Ally Carter's All Fall Down. So if you've read this book, want to give your own opinion, or you haven't and are intrigued, leave a comment below. Until next time, one of my two was a study on parody.